So, hello. This is my first D&D topic video. I'm going to talk to you about teaching my son D&D for the first time, and what I learned myself teaching him D&D, what worked well for him, what new things I learned for myself teaching a 10 and 12-year-old D&D, because we started with a first session that only a campaign that only went one session, so we're going to start there and talk about that and what good tips I learned from that and what you can take from that. So a brief history of my Dungeons and Dragons experience, and I started back in college, and I started with 2nd edition. So before 3rd edition even was in existence, and I started with, all the terrible first mistakes. I looked at the books and I'm like, ooh, I want to be that. I want to be an Elven Ranger. So you can guess how that went. I didn't like it. I liked the game, but I didn't like my character. So I started to look over the books, and I looked at like every character creation possible, and the next campaign, my character for 2nd edition was much better. Even after that, I think I broke the game with my 3rd character, abusing the rules a little bit. But everyone tries to do that. So through college, I played as a player a lot, maybe one small session as a DM. But when I left, I got a small group of friends in the area that wanted to play D&D, but haven't played at all, so none of them could be DM, so I became the DM, and for the next 20 years I was stuck doing that. I haven't really been a full player since, maybe one or two one-shots, but that's about it. I do enjoy DMing sessions, though. I've done everything, from your classic D&D, so I totally railroaded my character sometimes to push a chronic story around. But then I kind of found out I got good and could ad-lib a lot of things. And I even started a campaign from, it started at level 4 and went all the way to level 60, where they were going through the levels of hell, fighting gods and becoming gods themselves, just to see how far we could push these characters. Some of them dropped off. That one lasted a very long time. So I've also run evil campaigns where there were player and player strife because, well, it's evil and it was bound to happen. Had to deal with that. Learned a lot from there. And I've run anime campaigns where things had the monster of the week, and it was just fun, ridiculous powers, and more of a role-playing, seeing what your character wanted to do versus having to meet a goal. Instead, it was just about having fun. I got into just having fun with my players. If they're having a good time, I'm having a good time. Everyone's laughing. It's kind of the best for me when I accomplish that. The last campaign I ran was even a homebrew steampunk campaign. I did that, and hopefully I can do a couple things more with that in the future. I have a quite extensive world all worked out. But for now, my son, when he was 10 years old, he, loves Gravity Falls. He, saw the D&D episodes. We talk about all the old campaigns that my wife and I were doing. I did more than her, at least with my experience, a lot of times when we weren't playing together. And he always heard the fun stories of all the crazy shenanigans my friends got into and all the things, and he wanted to try playing. At the time, he was only 10 years old. So I set him up a campaign where I got one of my friends, experienced friends, and his daughter was interested in learning how to play D&D. She was a teenager, so she was of the appropriate age to try to play D&D, but due to scheduling and other things, we just only managed to get in one campaign, one session. In that campaign, I used the trope. Everyone met in an inn, but they all had a memory loss, so their characters didn't need any type of background. So you could just jump straight in. The barkeep knew they were a group. They came in kind of tired, so I used that as the excuse. When they woke up, each person could take their time coming down the stairs. They can get to see what each person did, and how they interacted with each other, and what their character would do, and then they had a chance to try things out themselves when it was their turn. So do it from oldest to youngest, and allow them to see what's going on and explain that to them. Don't say, oh, you're last because, just don't tell them they're last. Tell them they're last because you want them to see what everyone else is doing and get a feel for how the game actually works.
Oh, and you hear a knocking on your door.
I yell, "What's going on in here?"
During this session, my sons did some critical mistakes. He jumped off of a moving horse just because he wasn't thinking about what he was doing. He was riding with someone else and just wanted to jump into the fight.
Oh, you gotta roll me a d20 to jump off the horse.
Jump off the horse. 1!
You fall flat on your
Is that
face.
a 1 or a 7?
A 1. He falls flat on his face.
Leroy Jenkins, the whole thing, but he learned from that, and he definitely picked it up and he's not bringing that attitude into this new campaign that we're running, which we'll be getting into on episode 2, which is where I'm going to cover making the world, or lack thereof making the world, and character creation, mainly with my wife and son. But I learned a lot from how my son played at the time, and he also got to see a couple of experienced players and somebody trying to learn the ropes. He definitely was boisterous, as you would expect from a 10-year-old, and learned a couple of things that you shouldn't do, and thinking about your actual situation that you're in. But that wasn't a bad thing, because I don't think he was ready for a full campaign at the time. He was learning the basics of D&D, and that's a good way. So I would suggest that if you do have a child interested in playing, write up a one-shot. Give them a character. Try to get a couple of experienced friends in there with you. Try to diversify the party. Give the experienced players a magic user, a healer, maybe a rogue, if you can squeeze it in there, and make your child the fighter, unless they are really poured over the books and know a lot and watch a lot of videos. That's what they do these days. But still, fighter is simple. Just have them and just do a one-shot, or maybe a 2-session campaign where they get to experience what it's actually like before you start a larger campaign. And I'll talk about it, which I've learned a little later, is try to keep these sessions short. They're young and they don't have the attention span to last 3 or 4 hour campaigns. We've been breaking it up onto 1-hour sessions, twice on one on Saturday and one on Sunday. This new campaign that we are running, that helps things keep attention span on what's going on, and also gives them time to think about maybe something to do the next day on Sunday. That's working out really well for us. But when you have people that are scheduling, might bump into that. If you have some friends that are coming in, traveling to come play with you, it might not work out, so you might have to squeeze that in. It also all depends on your child. But I didn't start another campaign up. We actually picked up D&D the board game, which is entertaining, but it is a board game. But it kept him sated for the time being of playing it. We busted out every once in a while on a weekend. Sometimes I would give descriptions of what would happen in the individual rooms. They have rooms and cards and stuff. We give them a little more of a D&D Dungeon Master feel versus just the stock board game. I just wanted to touch on a few things before I end this episode here. I want to reiterate that definitely starting out with something simple, and don't even make it like an epic thing. Make it pretty mundane. Party has to do something. Small boss, nothing. Maybe a wizard controlling some monsters or something like that. Or if you are a book person, get a low level pre-made campaign. I was never a fan of those, but that's just me because I hate all the reading. And we'll get into planning the session on the next episode. We are big Lego fans, as you see this huge Lego set behind me. We utilize Lego minifigures. So if you have a younger child who's into Legos, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be coming out with some D&D Legos soon, you could pick up some sets that have a character that you might want. There's a thing called Bricklink for people who aren't into Legos, that where you can just hunt down individual characters with minifigures, and you can kind of customize figures for yourself. If you're a collector of them, you might have an organized box of parts, and where you can do the different weapons and all that kind of stuff. So that is very entertaining. You get one of those big gray sheets, and you can make little bar tables. Kids do not have a terrific theater of the mind at first when you are talking about spatial awareness, unless that's different in your case. But in the mind, my child does not have the spatial awareness of when I am just describing things and what's going on. There's a lot going on. He's learning. You can do less and less of it as time goes on. But I just keep things simple of showing what's on the board of monsters, and with figures or just little pieces to flesh out and give him an idea of what's actually going on. If you want to hear more about our experience, like and subscribe so you can get the episodes. We're currently only on our second full session, but I have character creation next, and I'm actually going to be recording that now, but it'll be in editing when I release this one, 'cause I do this one first.